Oh boy, have I learned a lot from my Japanese Godfather. So many things that are going to help you go from broke to rich, feeling overwhelmed to knowing what your plan is and going forward with a very, very good money plan. Here are 5 lessons I've learned from my Japanese Godfather. Let's go. And I call him my Japanese Godfather because his book was the very, very first book I ever read personal finance-wise. Of course, we all know him. We all love him, Mr. Robert Kiyosaki. He has taught me so much from real estate, from taxes, from finances, from mindset on money. So many different things that I'm going to go through with you guys. Let's dive right in. So there he is. What's up, Fada? Fada. Okay, so first off, this is the biggest deal when it comes to finances. Number one is passive income is everything, which means, simply put, assets are king. Some people say cash is king. I disagree. I say assets are king because assets put cash into your pocket every month. And that's a big difference between an asset and a liability. An asset is this: something that puts money into your pocket as opposed to takes money out of the pocket. So assets are what's something on a periodic time frame, whether it be weekly, monthly, daily, twice a year, once a year, whatever it may be, it's putting money into your pocket and not taking any out. So I want to go over the three ways that people deal with money. First is the poor. We'll start with poor. So poor people, or people who are broke, who never know what to do with their finances, don't know what's going on, are lost. This is what I call the people who are lost. They work at their job, usually a W-2 employee. Their job creates income, obviously, a salary, and then immediately it goes from the salary into all the expenses, your taxes, your rent, your food, your transportation, your clothing, all the things that we spend money on, and then it's gone. You never see it again. That money is never to be seen again until they hit their next paycheck, which is the worst way to go about it. You don't see any assets and you don't see any liabilities. Liabilities suck, but at least you have liabilities because you have something going for you. There is nothing going on. They don't own anything. The World Economic Forum wants you to know you are going to own nothing and you're going to like it. How about that? Okay, so here's what I grew up with. I grew up in a middle-class household. So the job, obviously, parents made the salary. The salary then immediately went to different liabilities: mortgages, car loans, credit card debt, school loans. This is where most people are. Most people, this is what they do with their money. They go immediately and say, oh, but, I heard my mom, my dad, whoever said that I need to, buy a house. I need to buy a car to build credit. I need to have credit card debt to get my credit better. I need to go to school and get a job and do that whole thing because college is the greatest thing ever. That's what most people do. Most people are sucked into that trap. Go to school, get a job, work at a job for however long you can, invest in the 401k, and at the end, when you're 65, 70, 75 years old, you can enjoy a little bit of life because you have a little bit of money in your 401k. But the problem is 401ks are broke, to say the least, and our stock market is literally wonky every single day and very manipulated. This is why I personally do not invest in 401ks. Okay, so anyway, middle class, they have mortgages, they have car loans, all the things, and then immediately that goes to other expenses, all the normal stuff that most people pay: taxes, mortgage payment, car payment, things of that nature, and then it's gone. Again, we're missing the most important thing here, and that is the asset column. Poor people, no assets. Middle class, usually no assets. But here's where rich people, and we say rich as in they're rich with their money and also rich with their wisdom, because taxes, rent, transportation, and clothing are all necessary. But until you get this asset column beefed up, you are going to be working and being in the rat race, working your 9 to 5 forever. Okay, so here's how the rich people work with money. They figure out how to buy real estate, stocks, bonds, notes, intellectual property. This is an asset, something that pays you cash flow. Mr. Wonderful calls it cash flow. Yes, I want to see that. Cash flow, because it needs to flow to you. Okay, so you figure out a way to find a good deal and invest into these things, which are going to give you cash flow every month, every quarter, every year, whatever it may be. Real estate, rent every single month. Stocks, dividends. Bonds, interest payment. Notes, that just means you've loaned money out, you're receiving interest back. Intellectual property, that's probably more of a royalty thing, like if you write a book or something like that, or create a course, things like that. Okay, so the rich do this. They spend their time, their energy, and almost pretty much all their money on these assets. These assets then go up to the income statement, the balance sheet, goes to the income statement in the form of rental income, dividend, interest, and royalties. Okay, so now we're rocking. We also look at these liabilities though. You want to make sure so here's what we have. Poor people, no assets, no liabilities. There's nothing going on. If they are fired from their job, they are in a heap of trouble. They probably would be able to find a new place to rent, whatever it may be. They're in trouble. Middle class are actually even more in trouble than the poor people because they have mortgage, car loans, and credit card debt. If you don't pay your mortgage, they take your house. You don't pay your car loan, they come repossess the car. You don't pay your credit card debt, they sue you for the balance and put a lien on your wages. Student loans, you can't file bankruptcy from those, so they are with you forever, no matter what. So if this middle class person were to lose their job, they're even more trouble because they have a mortgage, car loans, and all these things that are shackling them up with debt, bad debt. There's a big difference between this kind of debt and this kind of debt because yes, you still see the same thing, mortgage, but here's the thing: this mortgage is earning rental income. That's the big difference. The mortgage on the middle class goes straight to the expenses and it's all gone. This mortgage is having someone else pay for it, and you are hopefully taking a little bit of cash flow every single month. Obviously, you have taxes, mortgage payments. You can't avoid the expense category, but this is how the rich make money, and this is how the rich multiply their money. So number one, passive income is everything, absolutely everything. The faster you can get assets that go into your income, and by the way, you pay less taxes on real estate and things of this nature than W-2 employee. W-2 employee pays the most tax out of pretty much anybody. However, when you're providing housing for someone, there are a lot of tax breaks for that. So first one, passive income is everything. Assets are king. You want to make this asset column as large as possible and attempt to minimize this liability category. Remember, assets put money into your pocket on a monthly or quarterly basis. Liabilities take money out of your pocket. This is no, this is absolutely yes. And then second is, obviously, avoid these at all costs. You don't want to leverage yourself with debt too much that it makes you stressed out every single day. You want to ask yourself, even when you're buying an asset, I'm going to acquire a new piece of real estate. Is this going to bring stress to my life that's going to stress me out larger than the monetary benefit I'm going to have? If the answer is yes, then you probably shouldn't do the deal. You have to be ready to take on that new stress. Okay. Next, number 3 is hire the best team. CPA, lawyers, all these people will help you with your transactions, whatever it may be. And the reason you want the best CPA is because, I don't know about you, but I want to pay the least amount of tax possible legally. Now, I didn't say cheat on your taxes. I didn't say totally lie or fraudulently file your tax returns. I'm saying use every tax incentive, tax break possible so you pay the least amount of tax so you can put more money into your assets, which create the cash flow. Fourth is savers are losers. I want to show you something. This is inflation. Inflation pretty much tells you that whatever percentage the inflation is, that means your money is losing purchasing power. Let's say you have $1,000 in a savings account today. If inflation is 10%, that means at the end of the year, you only have $900 in purchasing power. Your balance in your bank will still show $1,000, or they pay you a nominal amount of interest, maybe $1,010, 1%. The fact of the matter is this: you've actually lost purchasing power. That's why inflation eats at your savings. This is why saving sucks. And I say saving sucks because you shouldn't just have a ton of money sitting in the bank to make you feel better. You should be investing in that into assets that create cash flow, that create a return on investment. If money sits in the bank, it loses value. I think everyone knows that at this point. They printed how many $1 trillion this year? It's crazy. Okay, so here's inflation. The red inflation is what the government tells us. So as of June 2021, the one they just released a couple weeks ago, we are about 5% inflation, which means $1,000 in the bank. 5% inflation means at the end of the year, you only have $950 left in purchasing power. Yeah, that sucks. This is why saving is not a good idea. When interest rates are very low like they are right now, they're not a good idea. Now, if interest rates were 10, 15, 20%, then yeah, you can live off your savings. But as of right now, I think I looked yesterday, the highest high yield savings account is less than 1.5%. So that's not going to work. So here's the thing, though. The red is how they calculate it, as how the government calculates inflation in 2021. The blue line here is how a different calculation is how we calculated inflation in the 1990s. So if you look at that calculation, it's actually about 9%, close to that 10% I was talking about earlier. So you're losing 9% of your money every single day, every single year sitting in the bank. Now let's take it back a few more years. This is the 1980s estimate. Again, red line is what government says inflation is. Take it for what it is, about 5%, just about 5%. And then the blue is the calculation we used in the 1980s. It's actually more so like 13%. Now, they say they updated what they put into the calculation for inflation. I don't know if I actually go for that. I always find it very suspect when the government does things differently. They want you to believe a certain thing. The government is not the arbiter of the truth. The government is the arbiter of what narrative suits them best to keep their power. And they want to keep inflation as low as possible to make sure they secure power. So whether it be the 1980s graph that shows about 13% or the 1990s graph that shows about 9%, inflation is still on the rise, and it doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon. So number 4 is savers are losers. You want to make sure to have some short-term cash for the things you need to pay off, for the expenses you have in the short term. But any long-term funds, you should be investing in something that creates a return on investment higher than inflation, or at least attempt to have it higher than inflation. I mean, it's difficult to beat 5, 10, 15% inflation, but that's what we're up against for now. Next one and last one is learn different perspectives and invest heavily in your financial education. The amount of books I have in my office around here and out in the front room are multitudes. I have dozens of financial books, dozens of personal development books that have helped me do what? Upgrade my intelligence, upgrade my financial knowledge, my personal development knowledge. You don't want to ever be stagnant. I really, truly do believe that once you become stagnant in life, that's when you begin to die. Yes, I'll say that again. Once you become stagnant in life, you begin to die. So do not become stagnant, which means to stand up and continue walking forward. Even if it's reading for 10 minutes a day, just a few pages on something that's going to make your mind more sharp. I've seen so many people, especially my generation, drown themselves for hours and hours looking at this thing, scrolling. What does that do for you? What does that do to keep you going forward? The answer is nothing. Looking at yachts, looking at attractive people, and looking at fast cars on Instagram do not help you progress in your goals. If you actually are serious about your goals, read. Watch videos, listen to podcasts of people who have different perspectives than yourself. People who have already, this is what I've done. I figured out if I want to be successful, I probably need to find someone who's actually been successful. So, my Godfather's been really successful in real estate. I want to be successful in real estate. Let me read some of his books. Let me watch some of his videos. Listen to what his perspective is on what's going on. You want to open up your mind to different perspectives, to new ways of looking at things. Because the reality is you don't need a lot of money to make a name for yourself in this nation. You don't need a ton of money to really start growing your money. You just need a little bit of creativity and understanding how finances actually work. Because I've heard all the terrible pieces of advice that people have heard. Being as a coach, I coach these people, and they tell me these things that their family members, society, YouTube gurus tell them. And I think to myself, that is literally the worst advice you can tell someone. Why is it so prevalent? Because we weren't taught finances. So anyway, you want to make sure you're investing in passive income, avoiding liabilities at all costs, hiring the best team, saving money only when it's necessary because savers are losers, and then learn different perspective and invest heavily. And I don't mean just 10 minutes a day. You can start with 10 minutes a day, but then start ranking it up, spending literally at least 30 minutes to an hour a day working on your personal development, your personal financial education. The faster you can become financially and personally educated about what's actually how money works and how to get more of it, how to invest it wisely, the faster you can actually pursue your financial goals. All right, that's it. Those are the 5 lessons I've learned from my Godfather. Thank you, Robert Kiyosaki, for many things you've done for my life, and hopefully one day I can shake your hand and take a picture. Until next time, I will catch you guys in the next one.